You know how Enya and Drew from Emergency Intercom, she's like, get off that iPhone, girl. Get off that iPhone. You need to get off that iPhone. Because they're always talking about their screen time. To me, I feel like my screen time and my time on social media definitely affects like how I show up in friendships and relationships and just how I show up for myself, with my mental health. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm excited because I'm providing another video for you guys and my cat is walking in and out. So if you see him, that is Sasuke. Today I have a few things on my mind, but one thing that is on my mind more is the use of time, and primarily the use of time around social media, and then how this affects the relationships around us, and just some thoughts that I've been having that I'm curious if anyone else has been feeling the same way. So I think this stems a lot from my relationship with social media. I've been on TikTok since 2019, I think, and just since being on there, I've really developed a relationship with the app, a dependency on the app, and it's something that I can't usually go a few days unless I'm doing like an actual detox of social media. Like I usually can't go a few days without being on TikTok. And I have been reading some books about overproductivity, especially in our capitalistic society and the structure that we live in. And the one book that I was reading by Celeste Headlee, I think it was called Do Nothing. And in this book, she talks a lot about what I just said about overproductivity, about just kind of existing, how we got to this place in our history. And to me, this was really interesting because first of all, any excuse to not have to like do anything, I'm like, sign me up. Actually, don't sign me up. I'll stay at home. And she goes into this a lot, and she talks about, when it comes to our history, how has this affected how we function now as humans, especially with the dependence on our phones and our media, media, computers, TV, and how we have to always stay engaged in something. And one thing that I really took away from that book was the act of just like sitting still, like doing nothing, being still, trying not to feel like I have to reach for something, trying to kind of like train my mind in the way that I can just be still. And I feel like this is something I've been practicing for a bit. And with that comes like, more mindfulness. I think in terms of meditation, that has helped the practice as well. But I think it's really hard. And I recently, I went on vacation and I was going to karaoke with my sister and some of my friends. And at the karaoke, I was really intrigued because while someone was up on stage singing, if there was people that didn't know the song or weren't like vibing with it, they would just be sitting on their phones. Like the person would be sitting up here and they'd be like not paying attention at all. And to me, that feels so disconnected. And I've also been noticing this even with like hanging out with friends. I try not to be on my phone at all when I'm with friends, even just to like take a picture together, just to be like, hey, like let's, make a memory, like an actual memory in our phones of this hangout. It's like, I don't know, there's something about it where I don't want even the phone to come in the picture. I just want to be present. And I definitely think all of these things are linked. And I think with the rise of TikTok and social media use, and how, you know, people talk about their screen time is like exceeding 8 hours a day, and doom scrolling and rotting in bed, and all of these things that like we kind of normalize as a society. To me, it's scary. And obviously, like with the current genocide happening and war, and, you know, just everything seems really expensive right now. It's scary. And I think I have a lot of understanding and grace for my community that, you know, when we rely on these things like social media, because it is a free activity, and it's something where, you know, you can connect with your friends, and it kind of gets us away from all of the terrors going on in the world. But it's just something I've been thinking a lot about, because I feel that as someone that's dealt with social anxiety for, I feel like, most of my life, you know, I've found that trying to kind of step away from my device and devices, and to, you know, try to get back into hobbies and, you know, read, like not having any screen time at all has been like immensely, I won't say healing, because I don't do it enough to where I really see a huge difference, but I definitely have seen some differences, because I feel like even when I converse with people, you know, even when I'm at work and I'm like stuck in an elevator with someone I don't know, my immediate feeling is like, I should just go on my phone. But in that moment, I think it's really important to at least say, good morning, how are you? How is your family? Because I think back to, you know, centuries ago, or not centuries, yeah, centuries or decades ago, when we were more social, like in person. And so I think with the whole idea of being still and stagnant and trying not to be overproductive, I feel like that definitely ties into our device use. And I think it's something I'm working on more. I think not even with just social media on our devices, but I feel like also our devices link us in so many other ways. Like, you know, if you live in a food desert in the country, somewhere in the country, and Amazon, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, if Amazon is the only, you know, deliverer to your area, obviously, like, you're going to be using that resource because that's all you have. And so in many cases, and even if it's not that extreme of a case, and you're just somebody that has like a very strict budget because you don't make a very high income and your rent is really high, you have kids, you know, you're caring for a relative, people are in circumstances where they can't control their circumstance and they have to use resources. And I think a lot of times it's a luxury to be able to, even for me, have read the book that I did by Celeste Headlee, take away what I could from it, and be able to even implement that in a controlled environment. So I feel very grateful that I even have access to those types of resources. One small thing that I took away from that book, kind of off topic, is the idea of using free time, like actually using free time as rest time or rejuvenation. And so a lot of times when I get off work, I'm like, man, I'm so freaking tired right now. Like, but I don't really want to take a nap. So I'm just going to go on my phone and go on TikTok I usually will try not to give myself too much time, but there's been time when it's been hours. And so one thing that this author talks about is, first of all, like, tracking what you do during your actual free time. So like, how long do you spend on your phone? Like, how long do you cook? How long do you do laundry for? How long do you do your makeup for? Like, all these different things to actually see over a period of time, like, what does your time actually go towards? And then she talks about like during your free time actually structuring it around like, okay, so you're only going to give yourself 30 minutes in the evening to like scroll on TikTok, and you can't go over that. And the rest of the time you dedicate towards a hobby or to reading or maybe to gardening or going on a bike ride. Like these different things where obviously like this is something where, you know, you're not on your phone, but it's like, it's a better use of your free time where it feels more rejuvenating and it feels like you're actually like resting your body in a way that will make you feel recharged for the next day. So that was one thing that I really took away from it. Another thing I really liked was she talked about doing when you don't feel as like productive at work, which is kind of, you know, a two-faced sword because, you know, we just talked about over productivity, but kind of flipping it on the other side and feeling like, okay, I did feel really productive at work today. I don't feel like I have to feel shame that I didn't get as much work done, et cetera, et cetera. So one thing I've been implementing is sprints, which I think most developers or engineers end up doing in their work from what I've heard. And essentially you work for a certain amount of time, and then for your free time, however much time you give yourself, you're completely logged out, you step away from your screens and you do something without any screens. So what that looks like for me is I will work for 50 minutes and then I will take a 17-minute break. I will log off from my computer, shut it down, or put it in sleep or whatever. And then I'll cook myself breakfast. And I won't look at a YouTube video while I'm doing that. I will like hone in on the food I'm making, which is really nice when I'm like actually really focused on the food I'm making, and then like I'm not listening to anything or I'm not engaging in anything else while I'm eating the food. The food tastes so much better. It's so interesting. Like someone, I think she might have mentioned this, or someone I recently heard mention this. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like when I'm 100% focused on the food that I'm eating or the activity I'm doing, it can sometimes, or most of the time, be more enjoyable because I'm 100% geared into this activity or this food in that case. And then, you know, after your break is done, you go back to work and you do it however many times that you can keep it up with. And I obviously, you know, recommend taking 30 minutes to an hour break for lunch, you know, really like disconnecting if you can. But I've noticed this has really helped me because I feel like I get a lot more work done because I'm so focused on my work. And then I know that like I'm kind of giving myself that break soon where I can do whatever I want and I don't really feel like I have to go on my phone. Because sometimes it feels like my phone is like I like owe something to it. Like I have to go on my phone for whatever reason. I'm not really sure what that's about, but I think it also is tied into like the addiction of it. So I think, you know, everything that I've kind of mentioned thus far, I think my main point is just, you know how Enya and Drew from Emergency Intercom, she's like, get off that iPhone, girl. Get off that iPhone. You need to get off that iPhone. Because they're always talking about their screen time. And it's really interesting to me because I think the whole idea of like friendship and relationships and like the psychology behind it is really interesting, especially when you involve like the world of social media and how that affects relationships. And I find it very intriguing when I see people that are, you know, very outwardly addicted to their phones and social media, but then they hold such good friendships. And I don't really know how these two things are connected. Because in my head, I feel as though someone that is like chronically online or is just like has like a high screen time, like doesn't have time for their friends. But in many cases it's the complete opposite for people, or it is the case for people. It really depends. But for me, in my personal experience, I have found that the less time I'm on my phone, and I don't even count like having a phone call with someone. To me, a phone call with someone is not screen time, and that's like time dedicated towards friendships or relationships or something. But to me, I feel like my screen time and my time on social media definitely affects like how I show up in friendships and relationships, and just how I show up for myself, with my mental health. But yeah, I think all of these kinds of nuances in our society are really interesting to me. I don't even necessarily want to be like, here's the conclusion of this video, like this is my advice, this is what I recommend. That does feel like a natural next step for me, but really I just kind of want to share my thoughts and share like where I'm at with this journey. One other thing that I wanted to touch on was the idea of community. As I've mentioned, friendships and relationships are something I'm very like cued into, and I think I'm noticing, especially with like literature I'm reading currently and just like content I'm engaging with, community feels so important to me right now. I think also I just went on vacation with my family. We were in tourist season. Tourist season felt like very like settling and peaceful and like earthy, and I just felt very like honed into just my family and feeling safe and warm. And I've been thinking a lot about what community actually means and how that looks like for me and how I see other people, what that looks like for them. I think as a society and human beings, we're very, especially in the Western world, we're very pushed to live these individualistic lives. And I feel like for the longest time, I felt like that was the only way. But I've finally gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't think that's the only way. And preferably, I don't want that to be the way for me. I want to live in community. I want to pour as much as I can into my friendships and my relationships, and whatever that looks like in the future. That's really important. And it's intriguing to see how that fits into the whole world of social media and our devices, because in my head I want to say, yeah, those two things are connected, like community and social media. Like that's what I feel like that is, like socializing social media. But I feel like in many ways they like counteract each other. And it's, just been something that has been coming up for me a lot. But I'm going to end this video here because I feel good about kind of the thoughts that I've shared thus far. I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. I got some interesting comments in the last video just about people's experiences, like even how they found this video. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, feel free to share. I appreciate you watching till the end if you did, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.